There's the other side of it right there, and it runs over past the throttle, accelerator throttle, and then down in there, and then it runs inside the center of the floor. And there's actually, I'm not going to be able to show you, but right here there's an actual like track that it goes into, a hollow like tube that follows alongside the whole back end or the center console here, and then it actually stops right about here, and then the wires are exposed again. Here's the battery cable, and down there is a wiring loom. So now we're just going to take those wires and pull them out through the engine compartment side. I'll show you what it looks like on the engine compartment side. So now we're here at the engine compartment side. Here's where the speedometer cable went through. You can see there is the actual positive cable for the power of the starter, and then right next to that, right here, is the actual wiring harness itself coming through the engine compartment. There's they had this little plastic or rubber shield over it to protect it, and then right here you can see the bolt here. This is actually one of the main grounding straps, which this one here is broken. I'm making a note here. There was this wiring, harness that goes to the fuse block that I'm pulling out. There was tape wrapped around this, and underneath that tape there's this brown wire that is not attached to anything. So I just want to make a note that there was a brown wire in here that's not attached to anything. Looks like it's a blue wire with a green stripe, or green wire, I'm not sure exactly, but connected to it is all these two black wires with yellow dots on them, and it's hooked up to this wiring loom that actually goes into the floorboard here next to the throttle. It was not connected to anything. It was just wrapped up. It was just wrapped up underneath here and not connected to anything. So I just want to make a note of that. Okay, so I'm continuing on removing of the wiring harness. I'm in the back of the engine compartment right now. Here's the two holes. The wiring harness came out of here, and the battery cable came out of there. Here's the battery cable right here, and the wiring harness is laying here. I've just pulled it out. It actually is going around the rear axle. You can see the wires. There they are there, where you can see the hole back in the corner, and it actually comes up and over the axle. It's here, and it's comes up. The battery, the actual starter cable is just sitting right here, right next to where the heater comes in, and then the wiring harness starts coming up above. So what I'm going to do is there's a zip tie here I'm going to cut off, and then of course these typical clamps that the Porsche has everywhere for holding in the wiring harness. Going to pull these clamps off. There's another one over there, and then I'm going to pull out the battery cable first, get that done. Okay, so on the wiring harness, you can see it has sort of this rubber protective that goes over the wiring. You can see it's pretty much deteriorated on this car, so we'll have to get that replaced once we figure out what that is. But now I'm just going to go around and remove all of the clamps that hold it in place, these little bending clamps, and then we'll start pulling out the wiring harness. So the wiring harness, once it goes up, it goes way up inside here to the engine compartment, over to this spot right here, right next to the passenger side shock tower. It comes up inside right there, and once it goes there, it makes a right. There's some of the wires that goes over to the passenger side that comes over and runs the tail lights, and then the other side, the bulk of the wiring harness lays on top, goes past the left shock tower and goes around over to here, which is the more that electrical harness is right here, so it runs into there, and then some of it also goes towards the back and runs towards the the tail light back there. So we're just going to slowly start working backwards, disconnecting the wires from back here, and then pull them out as we go that way. So first thing I'm going to start is the farthest point, which is the driver's side back corner. It's got that connector, so I'm disconnecting that connector, and then I'm going to pull the wire out. There's a clamp back there in the corner. Take that clamp off. Okay, once that panel gets removed, you can see there's an actual grounding that goes behind there. That was right behind that. So that goes up back inside there. You can't see from here. There's a grounding terminal that all the wires go to. You can see all the brown ground wires. Then also too, I got this and clumped it up here, so I have no idea where these wires go to. When the time comes, we'll have to figure that out. But there's actually quite a few connectors there. There's a ground and a power and another one, but that was disconnected in there, and we've got tape on it, so I'm not sure where that went, but it goes into here, and we'll have to figure out what that goes. So this wiring harness, they have these little plastic clamps on top, and it's got this little nipple that sticks on top. All you got to do is just sort of push that back, and when you push that in the back position, you'll be able to slide this out. It sort of releases the little tooth inside there, so you can. So when you lift that up, this will actually push out. You'll need to do that on all these clamps to get that out. So that's how you remove. Okay, here's that clip that I removed. It's like a removable zip tie. Fortunately, the way that it's put in, I don't know if you can see it. It has a little. See that little round thing in the circle? You can see how I actually pop that out. So you put it in the hole, and then you push that through, and it expands these teeth. So unless there's a way of getting to the back side to pop it out, it's a little difficult to get to. I already destroyed one of them trying to just pull it out, but you got to try to pick that out in the middle to be able to close those fingers so you can get it pulled out. Okay, so continuing on removing this cable, the wiring harness. So we have another set of wires that goes on the passenger side, and it just goes over to the connector out there. So we're going to disconnect that connector, and then we had a wire just sort of hanging here. Not sure what that goes, but it's just sort of there, and we'll have to figure out later what that does. So we're going to remove this connector, pull these tabs back for the keeping electrical in place, and once we get all the wires out, we'll have the wiring harness completely removed. All right, so there's that wiring harness that goes to the engine compartment to the front of the fuse panel. You can see all the way from starting here, from this is the tail light on the driver's side to the electrical panel in the back of the engine compartment. A couple, like the fuel pump is here. The rear window defroster, this is where it goes into the engine, through the engine compartment, and then there's another tap off here on the side that goes to the passenger side tail lights, and then has that heat shield that I showed you before that was deteriorating near the starter area. Goes all the way down, has some wiring here where it went near the throttle pedal, more wiring for the throttle pedal, and then actually to the last part, which actually went to the actual fuse block in the front of the car there. And these here were actually wires that actually went up to the gauges on the dash. So pretty big wiring harness there, but got it out.